Good morning, Monday morning, the first Monday in November. I've got Cirillo on that side. We're hanging out talking about hard to get floor plans, voice control over physical buttons, and online choice overload. There's something sublime. I just need you to know, Cirillo. There's something sublime about nailing the drop on a Monday. Right?
Oh, dude. It's all about the drop. I was like, here he goes. I can feel it. You were halfway through. I'm like, he's going to hit it.
You never know. Like sometimes you get into it and you're like, whoa, where did my words go? And sometimes you're like, okay, I need a few more words. And then sometimes you get a Monday morning and you just drop it right on the button, right? Because we don't script these things. We're just like ad-libbing, you know?
November already? Wait, November already?
How did that happen? Dude, I don't know about where you are. Well, you're in Texas. It's like always warm there. But it was like, I went out for a run. It was 62 degrees this morning. What is that?
The best? That's the best is what it is.
Well, you know what it's the best for? It's great for car sales. Like November, sometimes you get into this vibe and everybody's like, oh, buckling down for the winter. We'll wait for the Christmas sales. But like people are going to be out and about on lots this fall.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's amazing. Yep. I mean, and the test drives and the clean cars, that's what I was thinking about, because around this time of year in Canada, the lot crew is already like, we're going to have to shovel off the cars every day.
I can't imagine. No. Yeah. Hey, we got a couple of things going on this week. We got an ASOTU Edge Quick Shot webinar on Wednesday at 2 p.m. We are chatting with our friends at Stream Companies about auditing your 2024 advertising performance. So a little look back for a look forward. It'll be a two-part series, so don't miss it. You can go to asotu.com, scroll down, and register for that guy. Also, in a week and a half from today, we are releasing episode 4 of season 1, finally long awaited, of More Than Cars. And we've got a few big announcements keyed up for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Go to our LinkedIn profile. You can find the event there, November 13th, 1 p.m. Make sure you're there. Don't miss it. Be on the live stream. We'll be in the chat. It's just a ton of fun chatting with us, being in the vibe of the room, and jeering and jawing over the episode details. So there we go. That's all the stuff. We should get into it. Cirillo, what do you think?
Let's go.
Hey, new and smaller auto dealers are facing mounting difficulties, specifically this year in securing essential floor plan loans, a crucial step, obviously, in dealership ownership. Rising interest rates, cautious lending practices, and lenders who are increasingly reluctant to finance smaller deals are making it a little bit tougher on first-time auto dealers. Banks and lenders now often require floor plans to exceed $10 million. And many first-time buyers are confronted with last-minute cash demands. Sometimes they just need that extra $200,000 to $1 million as collateral, and not that $10 million stake. Friend of the family's Josh Lettuce, who was aiming to buy a Chevy store earlier this year, was denied floor plans because the deal was just hard to get, and that collapse cost him about $60,000 just in fees from not being able to get the loans. Another dealer, Chad Chase, faced a similar setback when Stellantis unexpectedly pulled out of financing. Potential owners are shifting focus to used or independent dealerships as opposed to new car dealerships, where floor plan financing is often more accessible. Here's Connor Duncan of Live Oak Bank reports that while they've successfully financed new dealers in the past, 2024's environment has led to stalled deals. So it's not just buying and selling cars, buying and selling dealerships, and getting in on the early ground level is getting a little bit tougher out there.
You know, this kind of goes back to a thought I had, mid 2020, 21, which was, single points are going to try and pick up a second point. Mid-tier, like 2, 3, 4 rooftop groups are going to try and get a few more of those 1 to 2 rooftop groups. And then the big dogs are just going to come in and sweep everybody else. And this is, I don't know, maybe I'm off base here. I'd love to hear in the comments, but I'm kind of seeing this. The banks are like, why would I try and help the more difficult deal when, say, an AutoNation or a Penske or whatever, who's self-financed and has more than enough leverage, can just come in and scoop up these deals without high risk. I don't know. That's my thought.
Similar to the car buying market, where there's a little bit of a bifurcated market where you've got, pretty wide open lending, probably in what we would consider as like the prime credit or the prime lending scenario in auto.
Yep.
And then you've got like net new lending, lower access to cash or funds getting a little bit tight. For me, it's like, man, we've got so many great operators out there that are just looking for that first step. We go to the NAMAD conference and you just see all of these OEMs really leaning into, and banks like Chase and other banks leaning into, how do we fund these early stage, entrepreneurial dealers that are trying to get in. But when you've got such high interest rates and, loan lending's getting a little bit more chippy out there, it starts to be tougher. And look, you got 20 rooftops and some cash flow. That looks real nice for a bank. So,
and I mean, honestly, my other thought on this is fantastic. Every generation has had its constriction of, ability. And what that does is it actually weeds out all of the people that don't know how committed they are yet. Right. And so, when we look at our society and our, capitalist culture and the way that we're set up, I mean, this is how this happens. There will be fewer, more committed people who are willing to do whatever it takes to push a deal forward.
Yep.
And that just kind of
knock down walls,
separates it up. So hopefully you're one of those.
Yep. Speaking of being only one of those.
Segue.
Time. It's slimming out there when it comes to the great button versus touchscreen debate. Rivian's chief software officer, Wasim Bensaid, doubled down on voice controls as the future, saying in-car buttons will be, quote, an anomaly. At TechCrunch Disrupt 2024, he noted that physical controls are a bug, not a feature. Very interesting. Advocating that voice interaction should replace touch and physical controls. Rivian is aiming to make every vehicle function accessible by voice, with AI advancements potentially solving current issues in voice assistance technology. On top of this, Bensaid called Apple CarPlay, which isn't available in Rivian's, a lazy option that oversimplifies the UI, which Rivian plans to build out with proprietary integrated software features. They're getting rid of buttons, Apple CarPlay, and they're bringing their own software to the game, Cirillo.
And you know what I did while you were reading this story? I went and muted my Alexa because that stupid thing doesn't know when to shut up.
Right. Yeah.
And half the time, I don't even know the right thing to say to it so it will understand me.
See, now you're getting to the heart of it. Yep.
Yes. Like, have you ever, I don't know about you, and guys, chime in on the comments. Have you ever been in a group of people who are experiencing the slightest amount of pressure? And by slightest amount of pressure, I mean trying to decide where everyone wants to go for dinner that night. The stuttering, the inability to form a sentence. And now all of a sudden, you want me to concentrate on driving a car in traffic and know precisely what command to say to this deal? I don't know.
Yeah, recalling all of the unique commands. Like there are entire YouTube tutorials on just how to use Siri, right? Because if you ask Siri something one way, it will respond with action, and then the other way, it'll be like, I can't even do that. But you wanted the same outcome, right? And this is where in a car, I'm telling you what, I go back to Mazda a lot, but they've done something that I think, and I think Mercedes tried this back in the day, but Mazda has this whole, like, what they call command center, right? And it's this little tactile thing that's right on your hand. You don't have to reach up high, but it's 4 buttons and a knob. And there's something going back to, like, you remember when, when T9 texting and someone could, like, text, behind their back, basically with a 9 key, right?
Yeah.
There's something to kind of like the tactile memory and our brain, right? Yeah. That allows you to more quickly do tasks that don't have to just recall by memory, but like connect memory function to tactile function. And I just can't get over the fact that linkage, especially when driving, is already active. And I'm concerned about this move,
Yeah, some poor individual out there who will have had to steer aggressively to not get, rear end somebody because somebody slammed on their brakes, going to jump the curb, heaven forbid, hit a stop sign or a pole or something, and they're going to go, Rivian, call 911. And Rivian's going to go, are you asking about the time? And you're
Right.
like, I just see it's going to be a problem.
My problem is going to be, it's going to like recognize my kid's voice, and they're going to be like, Rivian, play Bluey soundtrack. And I'm going to be like, no.
And then the airbag, you'll program it so the airbags deploy because you'll do anything to get out of hearing that soundtrack.
Oh, speaking of doing anything to get out of it.
Stop. Time.
Oh man, you want me to read this one?
Do it. I feel like you got opinions on this one.
Okay, so with endless options and extensive product information, today's online shopping experience can feel less like convenience and more like an exhausting chore.
Oof.
Research suggests that too much choice is paralyzing, creating a phenomenon some called choice overload. Oh, you're right. So a recent Accenture survey revealed 74% of customers abandoned online shopping carts due to feeling overwhelmed by choices and content. And top abandoned online shopping carts included clothing, 79%, flights at 72%, snacks at 70%. People abandoning snacks. Can you believe that? Home goods and electronics. Barry Schwartz, who's a psychologist of the paradox of choice, explains that while variety can make us happier initially, too many options complicate decision making.
Ooh, come on now.
And now this one, right? Because we all know this one. We all need to have the filters. Tools like filters and recommendations often backfire by introducing more factors to consider, which can make shopping fatigue worse, according to NYU's Raluca Ursa.
Look, let me say this. The whole
please.
like recommend after you've already said, let's check out thing.
Yeah.
Bugs the heck out of me. And I know that there's so many studies on like increased, revenue and all that type of stuff, but I gotta believe that a large swath of this 70 to 80% that are bouncing from these carts are going, give it up already. Like, you already got me with the Instagram ad. I fought through the mobile app experience, and now I'm finally ready to pay you, and you're just begging for more. Like, It is. It's exhausting out there, I think, in the e-com world, because everybody's fighting for this dollar.
I love how you said fight through the mobile experience, because even if you look in terms of a car dealer's website, how the customer has to fight, like you land on the site, next thing you get a pop-up that's like spin to win that nobody, I know the web company that develops these things says it works, but right immediately upon closing that, you get the chat pop up. And immediately upon closing that, you get some other thing asking for your location from the top left. And we're not considering, for an industry, here's my salty bit, for an industry that talks so much about improving the customer experience, look at how many stop signs you put in the way to just get to something as simple as shopping activity. And my other thought is this. I mean, years ago, I interviewed a guy named Rico Ollinger, and he and I were talking about, conversion rate optimization. And one of the things he brought up is that when you introduce more options into the mix, the less likely people are to feel confident in any one of those decisions. It increases abandonment. Yep. And more than one CTA on a page actually will decrease conversion rate by like 30% just in that one thing. So then you go to a vehicle detail page on a car dealer website, and there's 170,000 CTAs still. And we're still debating this in 2024. I just feel like here's the real world example that I think everyone can get behind to demonstrate what we're talking about here. You're driving down the freeway, you see the billboard that says 180 flavors of soft serve, and you're like, that sounds great. Then you're standing in front of 180 flavors of soft serve, and you're like,
the panic, the heart. Yeah, actually, I point to this a lot. There's an old Brain Games. I don't know if you ever watched that show series, but there's an old Brain Games where they basically put like heart monitors and eye monitors on people, and they gave them the choice of, do you want to go to the ice cream shop with the bunch of flavors or the ice cream shop with the 3 flavors? And like the people that ended up picking the 3 flavors had a much more clean and easy experience. It's wild. Like the overwhelming option of choice in anything. I mean, you go back actually, like think about the old BDC scripts and how you would get someone to move into an appointment. It's all about only giving ever 2 choices, right?
Yeah.
Would you like morning or afternoon, 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock? And that still works today because limiting choices actually provides greater clarity for the user. And so when you think about the number of clicks it takes to get to a VDP, right? Limit the number of no's that you can potentially put in front of someone's face. When it comes to like what to do next, limit the number of options, right? And think about this. When you say CTAs, a lot of people think about like the number of buttons that are on the VDP in the CTA quote unquote stack, but like the window sticker button, the share button, the like button, the phone call button, those are all CTAs too. So now you go from, let's just say you have 4 or 5. Now you've added 7, 8, 9, 10, and all of a sudden people are just crowded with decision fatigue and they're gone. So our abandoned carts are a little bit different than ecom, but not also all too different. You got we got ourselves on a little bit of a train this morning, Cirillo.
Yeah. We could go forever on this one. We need follow-ups on this one.
We could go with follow-ups on this one, but hey, today's a Monday and you got to get to it because there's people to love, customers to serve, employees to train and exert. Let's get after it. Sell some cars, service some cars, do good.